So in this lesson, we're going to review the code of the NFT Item, classic one. And also, we are going to learn about the soul-bound NFT Item. Just like in the previous lessons, we see that there are certain constants that are showing what is the minimum of coins we should actually store on the contract to be able to pay the rent. Then we see that there is load data, and this load data is a little bit different from what we used to see, because usually we were just reading data from the local storage, but here we have some more complex logic. So we open the cell of the local storage for reading, and then we read out the index and collection address. So the index, we know what it is, and the collection address, we know what it is. But then we try to read out the data, like the metadata of the NFT item, and we check if it's even there. We check if it's present there, and we return either -1 along with the collection address and again the address of the owner and the metadata, or we just return the 0 and index and collection address. There is no owner and there is no metadata, so NFT is not initialized yet. So based on this, we are going to make some decisions later on in the code. We also see the store data is just regular, like it always was in other contracts that we look into. And here we encapsulate the logic of sending message, so we can use this function in the rest of the logic of our contract. So whenever we want to send a message, we can actually just use this function. So it accepts the destination address, the amount that we should attach, the operation code, the query ID, the possible payload in the builder format this time, and the send mode of the message. This is how we form the logic of sending messages. And another function we have is transfer ownership. Let's look into it later on once we get to it in the receive internal logic, because the receive internal is the most important function here. And let's see what it does. So we ignore the empty in message body messages. Again, we read the flags, we ignore the bounced messages, we check who is the sender, and we skip some things like destination address of the message and stuff, because you already know what is the contents of this cell of the incoming message. And here we have reading this forward fee again to estimate how much it will cost to send the next transaction based on the previous transaction. Then we load data, and as you remember, we actually load the data in the same way like implemented here. So we check that if it's not initialized, then we would expect to actually get this data. We would expect the in-message body to have the address of the owner and the cell with metadata. So, but this could be done only by collection address. So we check that collection address is equal to sender address. So we would actually initialize this this NFT item then. So next we have the operation code that would be possible to be operate transfer code or get static data code. These are the two possible values that we are going to handle. And now we are going to go to the transfer ownership. But when we say get static data, so what we do, we just immediately send a message to the one who just sent the message with the request for the static data. And we are going to just report this data. So we are going to send him the index and the collection address. So this is like get static data functionality. As you see that this is the first use case of send message. And then for the transferring ownership, we have a function here that is going to first check that the owner address of the item currently is the one who is sending the message, because only he can transfer ownership. Then we read out the address of the new owner. We force chain to make sure that it's on the same chain. We check if there is a response destination. So if we should tell someone, send a message to someone once we transfer this ownership. We check what is the forward amount, if it's even requested. And then we figure out that we will have enough money after we send this forward amount to destination and we figure out if the need response, like if the response is even needed, if the response destination is actually present. And if it's present, if the rest amount must be bigger than 0. So you have some comments here, but I'm going to show you just briefly the logic of how it works. And here we have the, if the forward amount is present there, we are going to send a message with a notification that ownership assigned with this forward amount. And then if we even need the response, then we again force chain, make sure that the response destination is on the same chain, and we send the response, which usually it's like the excesses and like all the extra funds, they're just forward to the response destination. So, and then we just save data with the new owner address, and basically that's the only thing that is going to change here. Basically, that's it. Because transfer ownership, this is one of the core functionality here. So you just got this item and you're going to sometimes transfer the ownership to other people or sell it, depending on the type of this deal. So, but NFTs work in the bigger scale. For example, the Get Gems marketplace, for example, they have their other contracts that are actually making it possible to sell these kind of assets. So, for example, we're not going to go into the marketplace contracts now, but I'm going to show you one of the places where you could learn a lot about NFTs, and this is on the GitHub of Get Gems, because there's one more type of NFTs that I wanted to overview for you. So here we see the repository of Get Gems that is hosting a number of different contracts of NFTs, collections, sale and marketplace, and some auctions. So this is a good place to learn more about the contracts that are related to the NFT collections and items and whatever is surrounding them. But I wanted to show you one contract that we could a little bit dig into. It is the SBT Item, because SBT Item, let's find the sources of these contracts, sources, and here we'll find the NFT SBT Item. So SBT is the soul-bound token. So soul-bound, it is very similar to NFT, but the difference is that soul-bound cannot be transferred to other people without their authority. So let me clone this repository, and we will have a closer look into the code of the SBT Item code. I'm going to clone it to the very same place where we are working in the last few chapters, and it is called NFT contracts now. So I'm going into packages, contracts, sources, and we go into SBT Item. So we have certain variables. Here we have the storage index, storage collection address. So this is just, we define basically global variables, and this is just an example implementation by Get Gems. You don't have to do it the same way. I wanted to show you some different parts, so you would see what are the actual commands that are handled here. So as you can see, here we have a number of commands, but we're not going to dig into the code of each of them, but you're going to see that this token is going to be used in so much different ways, but not like normal NFTs, because here, this contract, basically, you could request an owner of this contract. Some operation code could request for proof of ownership, and you could get static data. You could also destroy or revoke this token, and you could take the excess as like what is the some of the money that was stored there, and you could request it if you are the owner of this contract, and you could not transfer it, obviously, just like you see it here. So this is a whole different type, and you should spend some more time just looking into this repository of Get Gems if you're into NFTs. But I wanted to show you that we just learned what is the collection. So we learned about NFT Item, about NFT collection. And what I wanted to show you is that the NFT collection could stay the same. The code of NFT collection could be certain code, but the items that you deploy, the items that the collection contract is deploying could be different. So for example, NFT Item, you could be replaced with SBT Item. So basically you would have a collection of SBT items, and then you would just change the code here. So you would change the code that you initialize your contract with. So NFT Item code would be replaced by SBT Item code. And this way you would actually deploy the collection of SBT items. And also you could see that there is possibility to create a single NFT item, SBT item, right? So it wouldn't have a collection, and it would just act as an independent SBT item. So just like I said before in the first lesson, we don't want to master the programming of this kind of items. I just wanted to show you how it works on the bigger scale. So from the very simple logic that we were writing in the chapter number 3, we actually got all the way to understanding so many things in the complex contracts like NFTs or jetons. So this was a good example for you that step by step, you could actually understand that there is certain syntax and certain concepts that you understand, and then the more complex logic is open for you. So hopefully that these few lessons help you to understand what exactly are the jetons and NFTs and how to approach those code bases to actually figure out how they work and learn more in terms of syntax, and also learn more in terms of the architecture that is available for you when you're building in Ton. So I really appreciate your attention, and it might be that it was the hardest chapter for you, but we didn't code anything, but we were just reading some stuff that you never seen before, and it's very complex. So I'm really proud of you that you made it through all the way to this last lesson, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next chapters, and I hope you enjoy the course so far.